Okay, I think we are ready to begin. So hello and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's CAS webinar on staff morale and student motivation during a pandemic. I'm Bill Silva. I'm the Associate Executive Director at the Connecticut Association of Schools, and I'm excited to be here with our dynamic presenter, Dr. Phil Campbell. Before I introduce Dr. Campbell, I want to thank our corporate partners, IGA and Jostens, for their ongoing support of CAS professional development for principals and all educators in Connecticut. And I also want to go over how we will proceed today. So during Dr. Campbell's presentation, the audience is muted. I do encourage you to share any questions you have using the Q&A feature on your screen, and I'll be monitoring that. And then Dr. Campbell will be answering questions after his presentation is concluded. We are also recording this webinar, and we will make it available to you as soon as we can in the next few days. And so now let me introduce our presenter. Dr. Phil Campbell, better known as PC, is a 16-year educator with a passion for loving kids. PC has experience as a teacher, coach, athlete, athletic director, and principal. In his current role as Jostens Renaissance Ambassador, PC's goal is to assist schools in becoming the best learning environments they can possibly be for students to learn and for teachers to teach. As we will hear, PC's philosophy is to put relationships first, to genuinely love one another, and to create a sense of family within the school setting. PC, we are so grateful to have you with us today to share your experience and your expertise on boosting staff morale and student motivation during this challenging and most uncertain time of COVID-19. I know our audience is eager to hear from you, and so now the screen is yours.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Bill. And first, I just want to say thank you to Bill and to Karen for the opportunity to spend time with you all here today. I am grateful for that. And then I want to give a special shout out to Erica Mativier, who is a Jostens yearbooker up there in Connecticut and is heavily involved with your association as well. And she kind of behind the scenes is the one that set all this up. And so again, my name is Dr. Phil Campbell. I go by PC. I worked in education for 16 years. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, from the Nashville, Tennessee area. We started using Jostens Renaissance on our campus and just had tremendous success with it. When I first got to the most recent high school where I was, which is a little bit north of Nashville, it was a toxic environment. We had fights every other day. Sometimes it was more frequent than that. There was a time that I was breaking up a fight. The kid turned around, tried to fight me. And it was just like, what in the world have I gotten myself into here? And around about that time was when our Jostens rep came in and said, hey, you guys need to check out this Renaissance stuff. And you guys know in the world of education that programs come and go each and every single year. And so I was like, yeah, whatever, like it's just another program, like we'll do it for a year, maybe two, and then it'll be gone. And I couldn't have been more wrong. It completely turned our school upside down. Our discipline rates went down by over 80%. Our attendance rates reached into the 95th percentile, which is a record high in the 105-year history of our high school. And most importantly, our graduation rates increased from 81.5 to 92.9, which is also a record high in the history of our high school. So we're literally changing family trees of the young men, young women in our school and in our community through the power of Jostens Renaissance. I believe in this stuff so much that I actually wrote my dissertation on the impact of Renaissance on graduation rates, attendance rates, and culture and climate. And so if you're a data person, or if you have an administrator or a superintendent that's a data person, and we just have to see the numbers before we can do anything, I'm more than happy to share that with you to show you the statistical impact that Renaissance has made on schools all around the country. What is Renaissance? My personal definition is this: it's a philosophy of education based on the three pillars of culture, character, and leadership, with the goal of ensuring that every single person on your campus is seen and heard and loved. Because at the end of the day, that's what we all want, right? We all want to belong to something. We all want to feel like people see us and hear us and love us each and every single day. And so what are things that we're doing on our campuses to make sure that every single student and every single faculty member feels that way? On almost every single campus that I step foot on, especially high schools and middle schools all around the globe, I can step foot on campus for 5 minutes and I can tell you who the athletes are real quick. I can tell you who the upper level academic kids are pretty quick. It doesn't take long to figure out who that bottom, those frequent flyers in your office for discipline problems are, right? But what about that middle 40%, 50% of those kids that maybe can't throw a football, maybe they can't hit a baseball, but they come to school every day and they do the things that they have to do to contribute to making your school a great place? How do we recognize and celebrate those kiddos? What about the staff member on your campus that goes above and beyond and is just rocking out chemistry class? Or maybe you have at our building was unbelievably clean. Our custodial staff was absolutely amazing. What are we doing to celebrate and to honor and to recognize all of our adults on our campus as well? And so today is just going to be a rapid fire idea session. I'm going to do a little section on staff morale ideas. I'm going to do a section on student motivation ideas. Some of them are going to be for virtual type environments. Some of them are going to be for physical type environments. The key to this whole thing is take an idea, put your unique twist on it, your unique spin on it, and make it fit your school and your kids and your community. Because what worked for me and my kids at Portland High School is going to be totally different than what your campus looks like, right? Because every single campus has their own unique culture, climate, the things that are going on, and the needs there of your student body and of your adult supporters. And so as I get ready to dive into ideas, I would love to hear real quick down in the chat box where everybody's from. Just to get an idea. I've been to quite a few schools in Connecticut, but if you wouldn't mind like putting your school down in the chat box, just so I can see where everybody's checking in from here today, that would be cool as well. Now, I'm gonna start hitting you with staff morale ideas. First one here, this is our Staffody of the Month bowling pin. Your local bowling alley will donate old beat up bowling pins completely for free. On your next professional learning day, your next staff meeting day, pick a staff member to give the bowling pin to. Say something nice about them in front of everybody. They get to keep it for 1 month. They can decorate it any way that they want to. That next month, they have to pass it to someone who is outside of their department because teachers have cliques too, right? And by the end of the school year, that thing's been to 10 different people. It's got 10 different decorations on it. We put it in a trophy display case that I'll show you here in just a minute. And then we start over the next school year with a blank bowling pin. Y'all, it is just a dumb, stupid bowling pin. But I'm telling you that people cry every single time. They cry when they give it. They cry when they receive it. Because as educators, we spend a lot of our time focused on our kids that feel like they're ghosts. But the truth is there's a lot of the adults on your campus that feel like they're ghosts as well. And nobody sees them, nobody hears them, nobody loves them. And so how can we change that? Maybe it's not a bowling pin for you. There's a school in Illinois, there's a school in California that are both in rural agriculture type areas, and they use a tractor tire and they pass the tire around and they call it the Tireless Teacher Award. So find something that's unique to your school, to your community, to your traditions. But again, how can I shine that spotlight on as many different groups of people as possible? As I'm going through these ideas, if you have something similar on your campus that you do, put that in the chat box as well, because that's how we learn from each other, right? And so you guys are doing some great things already, I have no doubt. So as some of these ideas maybe spur something, they're like, oh yeah, we do this on our campus, throw that in the chat box too, because that's only gonna help everybody else get better on their campus as well. This is a cool idea that one of my buddies found on Pinterest. You could do this once a week. You could do it once a month. It depends on, how much time you have. I know everybody's crazy busy right now, but let's say once a month, you put these door hangers on every Staffody member's door. They get to choose their favorite drink, their favorite snack, and then we're going to deliver these on Friday morning or Friday afternoon, whatever the case may be. You can obviously change them up to have different food items, different drink items, but it's almost like a hotel room service type thing there. Absolutely love that idea there from Pinterest. This is at Northside High School, which is in Arkansas. And so on the left-hand side here, you can see this is a display case that shop class on their campus made to help to recognize their teachers of the month. And then on the right-hand side, they actually have student of the week, and they have these for each department. And you can see they just print out 8x10 picture there of the young man, the young woman that was recognized, and they change it each and every single week for every single department. So an easy way, I'm going to share more student ideas with you towards the end, but an easy way to boost student recognition as well. You could do the exact same thing with your staff members if you wanted to. This is also at Northwest High School, just outside of their front office. So every single adult on their campus, wherever they did after they went to high school, has the university or the military logo, whatever the case, has their pennant flying up there, and then their little printout there that has their name on it and what they did after school. If they have a high school diploma and that's as far as their education went, they would put that up there as well. So making sure that you're honoring and recognizing everybody. I love that idea there at Northwest High School. This is something that we did at my high school, at Portland High School in Tennessee. And so our theme, our mantra, and I'll talk more about it in just a little bit, was always "Don't Stop Believing." That was just our theme song every single year. And so we hung these signs outside of every single classroom, outside of every single office, outside the custodial offices, outside the cafeteria staff. It helped with direction. And it was just a cool way that we could brand our campus there as well. So maybe that's an idea for you there. This is at a school in California, and I love, love, love this idea. The teachers get to paint their classroom door based on the subject matter that they teach. I just thought it was so cool. Some of the math ones with all the cool calculators and different things that they were painting on there. Now, I'm going to talk a lot about painting things. You go back to your principal, you go back to your superintendent, and they tell you, no, we can't paint. Butcher paper, right? We can cover the door with butcher paper. A lot of schools do that for like homecoming type weeks, right? But instead of it being a homecoming celebration, let's decorate it with teacher decorations. Or you could have a theme for every single month, turn it into a contest. And the winning classroom or the winning couple of classrooms get whatever prize, free jeans week, whatever the case may be. Get creative with this stuff, but how can you add life and color and fun on your campus here? This is at Cape and Lopin High School in Lewes, Delaware, right on the ocean. Beautiful, beautiful school and a really, really cool town here. This is right in their main entranceway, right when you walk in. And so on the very first professional learning day of the school year, every single staff member gets a blank pennant. And then they get to decorate that pennant with their hobbies, their likes, their interests, where they went to school, whatever they want to put on there. And then they put this display here in their front office. And so their kiddos see it every single day. The staff members see it every single day. Parents, adult supporters, anybody who comes to visit the school gets to see that cool display right there. I just think that's a cool thing there at Cape and Lopin High School in Delaware. This is at Evans Middle School down in Texas. Their theme this school year, which was last year, was all about being a rock star educator. And so they created this bulletin board here. This is in their staffity lounge with all the records going around the outside and then all the staff pictures on there. Just a cool thing, cool way to decorate your staff lounge. So maybe that'll trigger an idea for you there. This is at North Stafford High School in Virginia. And so I think every single school on the planet has a Teacher of the Year award, right? Well, they took that and instead of just having one award, they have four. So your Teacher of the Year, Service Employee of the Year, your Counselor of the Year, and your New Teacher of the Year. And that New Teacher of the Year is my personal favorite because you all know if you can survive the first year of teaching, you can survive the apocalypse, right? Like we can get through pretty much anything. But again, how can I shine that spotlight on as many different groups of people as possible? So just a cool idea, a cool way to recognize a number of different people here at North Stafford High School. Musical playlist. This is fun, and we're actually going to do this right now. So I want you to think about what is your go-to jam? Like that song that comes on and you just can't sit still, kind of gets the blood pumping. Maybe it's Friday night, maybe it's Saturday night. You're getting ready to go out, have a good time. What is that one song that comes on that you just love? Okay, and so right now in the chat box, put the artist and put the name of the song as well. And I'm going to put Bill and Karen on the spot here after this thing, but we're going to create a workshop playlist of your one song that just gets the blood going. For me, it's AC/DC Thunderstruck. Angus hits that opening riff and it's just like my heart kind of starts pumping out of my chest, right? And so what is that song for you? Pop those things down there in the chat box. And then we're going to put this thing together into a playlist. Now, this is an idea that you can use back on your campus as well. You could do this with your entire staff and have your school staff playlist, or you could break it down by department. And so maybe instead of one song, every teacher gets to put in, let's say 2 or 3 songs, right? And so then I would have a math department playlist, an English department playlist, a custodial playlist. And so then maybe it's math department Monday, and I can share out the link to that on Spotify or on iTunes, whatever platform you decide to use. I could have cafeteria staff Tuesday. I could have custodial staff Wednesday. And so that's a fun way. Everybody loves music, right? We all love different kinds of music, but everybody loves music. But it's a fun way that you can also get to know each other a little bit better as well. As I'm watching some of the songs pop up in here, it's always cool to see like the different genres of music and the different types of music that everybody listens to. So just a fun thing that you could do there on your campus. And again, this doesn't matter if you're in person 100% or if you're hybrid or if you're virtual, you can do this any of the ways with that musical playlist there. BYOB. This is a super, super fun one. Not what you're thinking. Bring your own banana. Most of the time you have staff meetings, and anytime you say we're going to have a staff meeting, everybody's eyes roll, and it's just kind of like that hopeless feeling of like, what do we have to listen to this time, right? So we're going to put a little twist on that. And so this one's going to be called BYOB. And so I put a banana in every single staff member's mailbox. You can put little funny notes on them. You can see all the different phrases that are put on there or whatever. I make an announcement. Hey, you need to go by your mailbox, bring what's in there to the staff meeting today. So everybody goes by, gets the banana, people start talking, what's going on? Why do we have bananas in there? But then they come into the room and I've got ice cream, I've got Hershey syrup, I've got sprinkles, and we have a banana split party. And it's my way of saying thank you for all the great things that you're doing here at our school to make our school the great place that it is. Obviously, this year would be a great year to be able to do one of these on your campus. I like to reserve these kinds of things for in the spring. That period between spring break and when we start doing testing, when everybody kind of hates everybody and nobody wants to talk to anybody and all that kind of good stuff. That's a great time to do these as well. Now, a different twist you can do on these. I've seen some different stuff here. Obviously, you could bring in pizza if you'd rather do that. Some schools are bringing in food trucks. Could be one food truck. You might have 2, 3, 4 food trucks, right? From your local community. So you're giving back, you're supporting local businesses as well. And at the same time, it's a little pick-me-up there for your faculty members. So just something to think about there. This is something I just saw on Twitter here just the other day. Gina Hill, she's a rock star principal in Oklahoma. And so every Friday for game days, and I know that football is a little bit different there in Connecticut right now than it is in some places like Oklahoma, but at some point, we're going to get back to a sense of normalcy, I hope. But so every Friday, the football players pick a staff member to wear their jersey, and then they also deliver this note there that you can see there. You've been chosen by number 2. Please wear this jersey proudly, and then inviting them to come to the game as well. I just think that's an awesome, awesome idea. Kids especially always say, man, I wish more people would come to the games. I wish our school spirit was better. Well, what better way to instigate that, to improve that, than personal invitations? It's kind of like parent-teacher conferences. And my high school folks, you'll feel me on this. We would have parent-teacher conferences at our high school, and it was almost like a ghost town. And the parents and adult supporters that you would see would be the ones that you didn't really need to see, right? Whereas in elementary school, at my son's elementary school, it's packed. And they're in 15-minute intervals. And if you're late at all, like you throw the entire schedule off. But then by the time our kids get to high school, it's very low involvement, generally speaking. And so to flip the script on that, I had every single one of my students write a note to invite their parent or adult supporter to our parent-teacher conference night. And our attendance went up over 40%. It was crazy. And it was almost like they didn't know that they were welcome there or that they were invited to that. So a similar concept here from the athletic side of things. But I just love this idea. I think it's a cool thing there. Handwritten notes. I was listening to Dr. Joe Sanfilippo speak here about 2 months ago. If you've never heard him speak, he is phenomenal. He's so good. He's a superintendent principal in Wisconsin. And one of the things that he said really resonated with me. He said that everyone is someone's child. And as soon as he said that, it immediately made me think about my mom. And I'm a mama's boy. Like I admit that totally up front. But still to this day, when I post something on my Instagram, my mom is going to comment on it. And she's usually the first person to comment on it. Okay. Everyone is someone's child. And so what if once a week, once a month, whatever the case may be, you can get your students involved with this as well. Get your leadership kiddos, any of your kids that you wanted to get involved with it. Handwrite notes to the adult supporters, to the parents, to an aunt, to an uncle of your staff members, and then put that note in the mail and mail it to them and just say, hey, we appreciate having John at our school. He's a tremendous, tremendous teacher and coach or theater director, whatever the case may be, but those handwritten notes. What if you wrote those handwritten notes once a month and you sent them out to your staff members as well? I don't know about you all, but when I go to the mailbox every day, it's bills and a bunch of political junk mail. Right. And so it's always a cool thing when you get actual like a letter or a card that's in there that's from a real person that knows who you are. And so maybe that's a twist that you could put on this as well. This note that you see here on the screen, at the end of every school year, we would have a faculty talent show. And so our staff members would get together and put on a whole big production of a talent show for our graduating seniors. It was kind of our way of saying thank you and congratulations to our kids for getting to this point in their educational career. And at the end of that, my seniors could write as many of these thank you notes as they wanted to any educator that they'd ever had. and whether they were at our school or not. And if they weren't, I would do everything in my power to find out where they were, and I would get these notes to them. This was the most powerful note that I was ever blessed to receive, because down at the end it says, no matter how bad my day is, when you wave and smile at me in the hall, my day gets better. It lets me know that I'm not invisible. Y'all, I never had this kid in class, not once. And this is something that I preach about anytime that I'm working with educators, this concept of they don't have to be in your class to be your kids. And I'm going to say that again. They don't have to be in your class to be your kids. And when you grasp that concept, when that really sinks in up here, that can completely change your entire educational career. They don't have to be in your class to be your kids. And so maybe something there with the notes, with the handwritten notes, that's something that can help out there on your campus. Different team building ideas. There's 6 of them here on this document that I created. I'm more than happy I can share this with you. I'll give you my contact information at the very end. You can also find it on my social media, but just some different ideas that you can do there. Staff meeting bingo. And I've got a blank board, thanks to Erica, your Jostens yearbook rep. A blank board that you can edit and fill in the squares with different words and different phrases that might be popular at your school, just to kind of help, again, staff morale booster there. The staff playlist, we talked about that one. The rock, paper, scissors tournament, that's an easy thing that you can do, even if you have to be socially distanced. The balloon prize board, that's a super fun one. Use pegboard, put your balloons up there, have little notes with prizes on the inside of them, and then the teachers throw darts at the board to figure out which balloon they can pop, and then they get the prize that's on the inside. So again, maybe it's a lesson plan immunity for the week, or a free jeans pass, or early dismissal, whatever the case may be. If you're not comfortable with your adults throwing darts because you're not sure what might happen on your campus if you did that, they can just get the balloon and pop it themselves. You know, there's a lot of different twists you can do on that. Finish the lyrics. That's a super, super fun activity that we would do at pep rallies, but you could do this at a staff meeting as well, using popular songs, and then you stop the music right before the key words or the chorus part, whatever, and then that person or a group of people have to finish the lyrics of the song there. So that's something that you can do. And then the relay tic-tac-toe, that's a super fun one as well. Everybody knows how to play tic-tac-toe, and there's a lot of different twists and variations that you can put on that too. So again, if you want this document, any of these things that I'm sharing with you, I'll share my entire presentation with you if you want it. I'll give you my contact information at the very end, and I'm happy to send these things over here to you. Now, we're going to shift gears here just a little bit, and let's go into student motivation ideas. And this is a quote that I saw from one of my buddies. His name is Dan Reichert. He's a 5th grade teacher in Virginia, just an absolute rock star of an educator. And he was attending an equity panel discussion this summer, and he posted this on his social media. And I was like, Dan, that is so perfect. The child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. It's an African proverb. And I just think that's such a powerful, powerful phrase right there, even in quote unquote normal times, but now more so than ever. We're going to talk about SEL and mental health issues here in just a little bit, but you know, our kids are struggling, our adults are struggling. The child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. Everything that we do as educators, the foundation has got to be in relationships, because without those relationships, we've got nothing. And when this pandemic started in March, the schools that have been successful since then are those schools that are grounded in relationships. And the schools that have struggled are the ones that don't have that foundation. And it doesn't matter about what their ACT scores are, what their graduation rates are. None of that stuff has mattered here over the course of the last 7-8 months, right? It comes back to, do your kids feel like they're seen and that they're heard and that they're loved? And in order for that to happen, my adults on my campus have to feel those things as well. So here we go, student motivation ideas. This is our military wall of honor. This is one of my favorite things that we had on our campus at Portland High School. Any student who graduates from Portland High School, who makes it through at least basic training in any branch of the military, gets to come back and put their dog tag up here on our military wall of honor. Just a cool way to recognize a group of kiddos that, in my opinion, often go underappreciated for the service that they provide to our country. Now, along these lines, there's a stigma, there's a stereotype. My son's in 5th grade, he's already picking up on it, that if you don't go to a university, that somehow you're not as successful as the kid that does. And guys, that has to stop. That mentality, that mindset has to stop, because not every single one of our kids is going to go to a university, and that's okay. Some of them are going to go to junior college. Some of them might go to a school of art, school of design. Some of them might go straight to the workforce. Some of them might go straight to the military, right? What we have to do a better job of as educators is making sure that we're celebrating all of our student successes, not just those kids that are on that university-bound path. This is something we do at the end of our school year as well. This is our senior walk. And so right before graduation practice, we line the hallways, all of our underclassmen, all of our faculty members. We invite our middle schools. We invite our elementary schools because I want to plant seeds in those kids' heads as well, right? I play pomp and circumstance through the speakers, and I tell my kids, this is your one last chance to parade through these halls as the big dogs of Portland High School. They're going to laugh, they're going to cry, they're going to hug, they're going to high five like it's an emotional, powerful event. And the first year that we ever did this, when we got done, I had a young man come into my room. He's got tears in his eyes, and he says, no one's ever clapped for me before. And you talk about just ripping my heart out, because from the time I was 5 until the time I was 22, my mom was at every practice, like practice, okay? And for this 18-year-old young man to say, no one's ever clapped for me before, it was a perspective check, right? And I want you guys to think about how many of the kids on your campus could say the same thing. How many of the adults on your campus could say the same thing? And more importantly, what is it that you can do to change that? Now, in our current environment right now, you can't have a celebration like the one that you're watching here on this video. But what can you do? What can you do with social distancing? What could it be, a drive-through type celebration? What can you do? Let's focus on the positives instead of on the negatives. My buddy Dwayne Patterson, who's an activities director in Oklahoma, he said 10 years from now, when we look back, are we going to talk about the adjustments and our ability to pivot and to execute and to make things right and make things good? Or are we going to look back in 10 years from now and say, well, I wish we could have done this. I wish we could have done that. What is your perspective going to be on that? Don't Stop Believing. I told you every single school year we start it with the Don't Stop Believing sing along. We also end every single school year with the Don't Stop Believing sing along. And so I had a young man on my campus. He was unbelievably talented at graffiti. I found that out through a note that he left for me in the bathroom one day. True story. But we took that negative situation and we flipped it into a positive. And I said, Tate, what do you think about tagging this up front here for me? And he thought that I was joking. And I was like, I'm dead serious. And so he did. And so all of a sudden, this outcast on my campus had ownership right there in a key spot. I had something positive I could use with that young man moving forward for the rest of his school year. These are some of our students with special needs. They're our most popular kids on our campus, and they are my favorite kids on our campus. And the single greatest event that I ever played a small role in during my time at Portland High School was with our special needs prom. And understand, these kiddos can come to the Portland High School prom if they want to. But in the 6 years that I was there, none of them ever attended that event, just for a lot of different reasons. Jake there in the center, he is deathly terrified of balloons. Some of my kids have special dietary restrictions, so they can't handle the loud music and the flashing lights. And so what we did was, we put together a night that was conducive to them having a magical evening that they deserve to have as much as every other young man and young woman on our campus. I got a video here that's going to show you guys what that's all about and bring this concept to life.
We are a rockin' and busy Renaissance committee year-round. It's every month we have 1 or 2 events going on for somebody in our school or in our community. Through different Renaissance conferences and collaboratives, it kind of kept coming up. How do you really recognize each and every single faction of student that you have in your building? And we realized that we could do better at our school about really making our special needs kids feel a part of and special.
Today we are preparing for our Night to Remember prom. It's our chance for our students to be with their best buddies throughout the school for a social night that they'll never forget.
So they get the full prom experience from beginning to end, but we can kind of control the environment to where they actually get to enjoy being there instead of being overwhelmed.
There's so many people behind the scenes that are preparing this, from flowers to tuxedos. And there's a great coach that we're going to get on to ride over to the prom. Food that's being catered, decorations, and it's just really, it's something magical.
Today in cosmetology, we were doing their hair and makeup just to see them walk through the building. Like, it just makes your heart so happy and so full.
It just lets the kids feel special about themselves, and it gives them one day to really shine.
That's probably the best part about this too, because like they're all dressed up and like when they see each other, they're like, oh my gosh, I actually feel like a princess.
It's the one night that you walk away not just proud of pulling an event off, but you feel like you're a better person inside because you got to be a part of something so much bigger than yourself.
Our son is special needs, he's autistic, and they have, for the school, they have put together a prom just for his class.
I've seen Noah interact with his peer buddies at school and at Special Olympics and different things, and they're outstanding kids. Every single time I've been blown away by their kindness. It's Noah, in his mind, those are his best friends. You know, those are his genuine good friends, and they treat him that way. They don't treat him any different, and it's pretty awesome to see that. They're pretty amazing kids.
It's important to me because it's something bigger than I am, and I can be a part of making these kids just have great memories and just bring a smile to their face.
The Renaissance Committee kids get to do the promposal like the kids are into these days.
And what did they tell you? They were throwing you. And you didn't know it. None of us knew it. And we said, what? Yeah. I'll never forget when Shay called her mom on the phone. She came back to the classroom and she called her mom to say, guess what? We're having a prom. And she was just so excited.
Of course, it makes a mom's heart feel pretty good to see your child so happy, and to have your child have this milestone that you maybe didn't think they might ever have. It's a good feeling.
My favorite part of the evening is when the dance starts, because some of our students love to dance.
It's been fantastic for the kids, I think, that are doing it.
Yeah.
They're involved, and also the kids that are helping. I think everybody gets something out of it.
So just seeing these kids just let loose and have fun and just be a kid, that's my favorite part. And it's like you can't be there and not smile at that. So.
Now, cool, y'all. If you don't do something like that on your campus already, highly, highly recommend that you give it a shot. I promise you, it'll be the most magical night of your entire school year. My middle school and my elementary school folks that are on here, obviously I understand like you don't necessarily have a prom per se, but what are we doing to make sure that every single group of kiddos on our campus has the opportunity to be plugged in and to be involved and to be connected to your school so that your school can serve as the cornerstone of your community. If you need help with pulling that event off, please let me know. I'm more than happy to help any way that I can. I've got an entire checklist of things that you can think about. I can tell you about the mistakes that I made the first time that we were doing that. Your local business community will support you on that 1,000,000%. Everything that you saw there in that video was donated. The tour bus, that's Lady Antebellum's tour bus, all the clothing, the dresses, the food, all that kind of stuff. Your business community will support you 1,000,000% on that thing. So again, if you need help with executing on that, please reach out and let me know, because I'm more than happy to do everything that I can to make that event successful for you on your campus. Now, something else that we would do on our campus, we would let our seniors paint their parking spots. We would charge $40 for this. There are some schools in Texas that charge $100 for this. It depends on the makeup of your student body. My kids couldn't afford $100, and so that's why we did 40. Some of my kids couldn't afford $40. I would work out a deal with a lot of them, and we would exchange some different stuff, you know, do some bartering, whatever the case may be. But that goes back to, I have to have a relationship with that young man, with that young woman, to know where it is that they're coming from so that I can approach them with that opportunity to begin with. This Monopoly spot here, that's my favorite one that I've ever seen. And the kids get so creative. They love that sense of ownership that they get there by painting their parking spot. Now, again, you go back to your administrator, you go to your superintendent, you go to the school board, and they tell you, no, you can't paint because the world might end and the sky might fall if you put paint on something, right? I get it, I've been there. Understand that no does not mean the end. No means that I'm going to pivot and I'm going to find a different way to win, because we're dealing with kids here. We're dealing with our kids. And when we're dealing with kids, losing is not an option. And so maybe instead of paint, maybe it's sidewalk chalk. And so once a month, I go out and I write encouraging messages and encouraging notes in parking spots. I put them in our cafeteria staff parking spots. I put them in the custodial staff parking spots. I put we love our bus drivers in our bus lane, right? Get your art kiddos involved. They love, love, love doing that kind of stuff. And again, that gives them ownership on your campus. So that's something that you could do there once a month. You could do it once a week, however often you want to paint that around. But again, no does not mean the end. No means I have to get a little bit more creative, because I'm always going to find a way to win when we're dealing with kids. On the inside of our building, we would allow our students that qualified for Renaissance each semester to paint ceiling tops. So they could qualify in one of 4 ways, based if they got all A's and B's, if they had perfect attendance, or if they improved their GPA by 0.5 points from one semester to the next. That was the big tier, okay? A lot of times those are those kids that are hard to reach, that are falling through the cracks. So they could fail every single class one semester. Next semester, if they made straight D's, nowhere near where I want them to be, but that's a big improvement. They're going to qualify to be in Renaissance for that semester. I'm betting my money on if I can get them in there that one semester, I'm going to be able to hook them and that they're going to want more. Okay, I'm trying to give them that taste of success. So they could put these ceiling tiles anywhere that they want to. It could go in a hallway, it could go in a teacher's classroom. They added color, they added life, and most importantly, they added ownership. That's my ceiling tile in my schoolhouse. You can see all the different designs. I learned all kinds of Taylor Swift songs because my girls love to put T Swift lyrics up there. They absolutely love, love, love this concept. And you talk about a wow factor. When people step foot on your campus, that's a wow factor right there, y'all. The only place they could not put a ceiling tile was in our cafeteria, because in our cafeteria, we branded those with university logos, junior college logos, military logos, anything post-secondary. I brainwashed my kids. There's something out there for each and every single one of you beyond graduating from high school. And so that's what we did with the ceiling tiles there in our cafeteria. Student restrooms, and let's talk about student voice before I get into the restroom to illustrate the example here. Everywhere I go, this is a buzzword. How do you make sure your students have a voice? How do you make sure your students' voice has power on your campus? One of my good friends, his name is Bradley Skinner. He's a theater teacher out in Wyoming and just an absolute rock star theater teacher. They do 7 productions every school year, 7. We always did 2. We would do 1 in the fall, 1 in the spring. I was just happy, like, let's just execute on those. He does 7 every school year, and he even writes some of his own. He's unbelievable. He was on my podcast. We were talking about student voice, and he said, you know what, PC? Our kids are always trying to tell us something. The question is, are we willing to listen? Our kids are always trying to tell us something. The question is, are we willing to listen? And I just absolutely love that when he said that. So in terms of student voice, the most powerful thing we did on our campus was with our student restroom renovation project. And the vast majority of the time, traveling around all around the world, in high schools especially, and in a lot of middle schools, the student restrooms are absolutely disgusting. And here's the deal. If the adults on your campus wouldn't use the student restrooms, then why should our kids have to go in there and use them, right? And so we adopted that philosophy. We completely renovated all of our student restrooms. My kids helped me pick out the colors, helped me put the paint on the wall, put the quotes up there. Love yourself. Those jeans make you look hot. It's 3 o'clock somewhere. They all say different things. And then in the girls' bathrooms, we put these big, giant, full-length mirrors in there so that girls can do whatever it is that girls do in those things. I call them selfie stations because every single day, still to this day on social media, I'm seeing people posting selfies of themselves in the bathrooms at Portland High School. When I first bought those mirrors, the adults on my campus, there were adults that literally said to me, well, what if they break them? And my response to them was, what if they don't? What if you love your kids so much? What if you believe in your kids so much? They can literally feel that in their hearts. And my whole philosophy of education is this, y'all. How about if we stop catering to the 2% of the quote unquote bad kids on our campus and we start taking care of the 98% of the great kids on our campus? How about that? And once we adopted that philosophy, once we took the keys to the bus and we threw them to our kids and said, here, drive, that's when our school culture completely turned upside down. Now, this is a fun activity that we would do if we were in person, if we could do it when we're in person. I'm a huge advocate of high fives. It's one of those things where when you're giving somebody a high five, you can't help but smile, right? Now, in our current environment, obviously that would be highly frowned upon with germs and all the stuff that's going along with that. But how can we still make greeting each other fun? This is an image that I found on social media. I absolutely love this. And there's an elementary school teacher in Virginia that has put a really cool twist on this. So he meets his kids at the door every single day. They all have their own unique greeting that they do, whether it's the air fist bump, the air high five, you can touch shoes, they can dab, whatever. And whatever one does, the other one has to do it back. And so some days he leads it and he starts it. Some days he lets the kid decide what their greeting is going to be for that day. But again, I just think this is so important with greeting your students every single time that you get the opportunity to do so. And how creative can you get with these different ideas? And I just love this. I thought this was a cool image to help to illustrate that concept there. This is from my buddy, Chris Reeder. He is an activities director out at Los Altos High School near Los Angeles, California. And so they created virtual backgrounds. So if you are a hybrid or if you are completely remote learning right now, to help celebrate birthdays and other special events. And so obviously it was Katarina's birthday on this day, Jenny's, like different stuff, giving the examples right here. But you could do these for your staff members. You can do this for your kids, a lot of different opportunities that you can do right there with the virtual backgrounds. His kids love that and the adults love it too. They post selfies almost every single day on social media there with those virtual backgrounds when it's their birthday celebration. Thought that was a really, really cool idea there on their campus. This is at a school just outside of Chicago, Illinois. And so they frame a graduation program, the diploma, and a ticket from every single year's graduation ceremony. And so this goes around, it lines their front little lobby area there on their school. I love this idea. I love the concept because again, it's about planting seeds, right? And inspiring our kids that one day, hey, that's gonna be me. One day I'm gonna have our plaque up there from the class of 2021. I just think it's a cool idea there. This was my senior acceptance letter wall at Portland High School. And so as my kiddos got accepted into universities, junior colleges, the military, like anything post-secondary, they would bring that letter in. I would make a copy of it. I would put it on colored construction paper that corresponded with that school's colors or that branch of the military. And then it would go up here on the wall next to their class of mural. When they would bring that letter in, they would also get a free t-shirt that said, this Panther is college bound, this Panther is military bound, or this Panther is workforce bound. Everybody loves free stuff, right? And again, I'm branding my message. There's something out there for every single one of my kiddos beyond graduating from high school. Similar twist to the military and the acceptance letter walls, but this is what a school in Arkansas does here with theirs. They have a class on their campus that actually creates these posters and then is able to print them out. And so as their kids get accepted, they put them on these giant sized posters and this lines their main hallway. I love this recognition because it's super, super cool for the young man, the young woman that is on the poster. But again, it's also planting seeds for those underclassmen that are walking down that hallway and can look up there and say, man, that's going to be me one day. I'm going to the Marines. I'm going to XYZ University. Again, how can I inspire those next generations? I think that's super cool. Same school, this is what they do to honor and recognize their kiddos that are in their JROTC program. I just love this. And it's out in their main hallway again to recognize those kids. A lot of time because of space requirements that ROTC programs have, they're out by the gym or they're in the back of the school because they have to have so much space and access to different things. But this is right there in their main hallway. So those kids get another opportunity to be honored and to be recognized on their campus. Love, love, love that concept. This is at a school just outside of Phoenix, Arizona. And so as their kiddos get accepted to post-secondary institutions, they get to put a sticker on wherever it is that they're going to go to attend school after graduating from high school. So again, maybe this will spur an idea for you that you could use on your campus. This is an example of one of our birthday walls. Now, this is totally an elementary school idea. My high school kids love it. The adults on my campus love it. And so every month, any student or staff member that has a birthday gets their name put up here on the birthday wall. At the end of the month, we make an announcement. Hey, we're changing the birthday wall. If you want to come and take your name off, you can. Guys, you will be shocked at how many of your kids and your colleagues will come and they'll take this little piece of construction paper off and they'll put it on their desk or they'll put it in their locker or on the dash of their car or in their notebook, because for the first time, they are recognized as being somebody on your campus. Kids love it. The adults love it. Same concept. This one is for perfect attendance. And so we had attendance issues at our high school. And so this is one of the things that we did to help with that. So these are just little die cut shape cutouts, and then they go into the bigger shape of whatever it's going to be for that month. And so every month, based on the previous month's attendance, if you were at school every single day, students and staff members because there's a direct correlation between your staff attendance and your student attendance. If you're at school every single day, your name goes up here on the perfect attendance wall. We would always do our seniors in a different color. So right here, they're white going around the outside just to make them feel special. And then we would put some kind of quirky quote up there, perfect attendance. Now that's something to tweet about. There are all kinds of these ideas on Pinterest. Ask other educators on your campus to volunteer to take a month. Put different clubs and organizations on your campus in charge of a month. Don't feel like it has to be on one person or a small group of people to come up with all these different creative ideas throughout the school year. But every single month we would put this thing on there, and when we put it up, there would be kids standing there scanning the wall trying to find their name. And there would be kids that would come and say, I was here every day, but I can't find my name on there. And so we would go out there and we would look, and we would either find it, or if it made a mistake, then we would add another one up there and put it up there. But like I said, it's just a simple little thing, but it matters. I can't even emphasize how much this stuff matters to your kids, and again, to the adults on your campus. Your front office, if I came to your school right now and I walked into your front office, your front lobby area, what am I going to see? And how I'm going to feel, how I'm going to be greeted, how I'm going to be treated. So many of the schools that I walk in and there's sports trophies everywhere, right? And understand, I love sports with a passion. I played, I coached, I was an athletic director, like I did all those things. I get it. But again, what about the kid that can't throw the football, can't hit the baseball, right? How do we recognize those kiddos on our campus? And so we got our yearbook class to help us out, taking really cool pictures. We get them blown up into poster size prints. And so you can see here, there's pep rallies, there's FFA, there's athletics, there's a theater production. Over on the other side, there's more pictures over there. And so every 3 or 4 months, what we would do with these is we would sell them for the cost that we put into them. And so guess who eats that up? Mommies and daddies. They love that stuff. So you sell them, you make your money back, you buy new pictures. It's constantly changing there in that front office. It was a huge deal to the kids and a huge deal to the adults to have your picture up there in the front office. You can see on the desk there, there's a graduation diploma cover and a graduation cap. Everywhere that you look on our campus, there is something related to graduation. Again, I brainwash my kids. That's the ultimate reason that we're all here each and every single day. Everywhere they looked, they saw something that was related to graduation. These were our Nice Bike postcards. They're literal postcards that we would put in the mail. If you've never heard Mark Scherenbach speak, he is phenomenal. He's my favorite speaker on the planet. His whole big mantra is Nice Bike, which basically means good job. So we would use these Nice Bike postcards to catch our quote unquote bad kids doing something good. And so let's just say I'm in history class. I have failed everything this entire semester. All of a sudden I get a 77 on the history test. My teacher's going to write it up on the postcard. I'm super proud of Philip. He got a 77 on his test. Nice bike. Send it down to the administrator. The administrator calls me down to the office. I'm walking down there. I'm trying to throw stuff away out of my pockets, right? And I'm thinking about like, what have I done this time? But I get in there and it's that reverse psychology. And they give me a high five and they're like, dude, you freaking rocked this history test. We are so proud of you. Then we pick up the phone and we call their adult supporter and we brag on them that way too. Then we take that postcard and put it in the mail to further reinforce that message. And so again, all of a sudden I have a positive connection, not only with that young man, that young woman, but with their adult supporters as well. And I use that term adult supporter a lot because not every single one of our kids has a mom. Not every single kid has a dad, right? And as soon as you're talking to one of those young men, young women, and you say, I'm going to call your mom, or I'm going to call your dad, and they don't have one, you're done. Because you don't know me. You don't know what it's like. You don't know my struggle. You can't relate. Genuine, authentic relationships are the key, the foundation of making connections with those young men, those young women, especially those kiddos that are hard to reach. I can't tell you how big of an impact these little bitty postcards made on our campus and in our community. This is an activity that I would do with my kids on the very first day of school. I would tell my kiddos, I don't care where you're from. I don't care about your past. I don't care about your history. I don't care about what Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so down the hall tells me about how horrible of a kid you were last year in their class, because you're on my roster now. And if you're on my roster, that means you're on one of my kids. And I would tell them point blank, I'm going to love you. I'm going to take care of you. And then I did. And so I had a little lesson that went along with that. I'd have the butcher paper up there on the wall with those "you matter" words right there in the center. They would get to dip their hands in whatever colored paint they wanted to, pop it up there on the wall, and then sign their name underneath it, because they had to know from day one, this is going to be a different experience than what most of you have ever had in your educational career. Those kids that are hard to reach, that fall through the cracks, especially once they get to my level at the high school level, they're so beat up by life and by the educational system that the vast majority of them have no hope. We have to take different chances. We have to take different risks. We have to do different things in order to be able to reach those kids. And so again, that was a cool activity that my kids absolutely loved. And so maybe that gives you an idea of something that you could do in your classroom or on your campus as well. This is at Chillicothe High School in Chillicothe, Ohio. This is in their library. The flags represent the countries from which their foreign exchange students have attended or are currently attending. And then underneath each flag, those students have their nameplate put up there underneath their country's flag. I thought that was a really, really cool idea there at Chillicothe High School. Similar concept. This one is at the American School of Paris in France. And when I went there, I was under the impression that it was a school for American kids that were over there for whatever reason, because their parents are working or whatever. I was wrong. It's like 20% American kids. They have over 70 different nationalities that are represented on that campus. And so these flags that you see here, this is in their cafeteria, represent all of those different countries that are represented on their campus. Thought that was an awesome, awesome idea, and maybe something that you could do on your school's campus as well. Bixby High School, Bixby, Oklahoma. This is how they recognize their staff of the month and their students of the month. Take their picture, 8x10, pop it into whatever month it was that they were recognized there. A cool, quick, easy thing that you can do on your campus there. This is awesome. This is at Dell City High School in Dell City, Oklahoma. This is where their art students get to exhibit their artwork. How unbelievably cool is that? How often have you ever seen something like that on a high school camp, on any campus, right? Do you think that those young men, young women who are in that art class feel like they're special and feel recognized and feel like they're a part of their school's community? Like, absolutely, right? Those kids are so talented, so talented. I can draw a stick man. That's about as far as my artistic ability goes. I just love this. And again, if my school, if my mascot is the center of the wheel, and I've got all the spokes that are going out to my sports teams, to my clubs, to my art kids, to my theater kids, like, I want you to think about how many of those spokes are intact and how many of those spokes are broken or non-existent, right? What a cool way to connect that line between your school and those art kiddos. Just love, love, love this at Dell City High School. This is at North Stafford High School in Virginia. Their automotive class got to remake this entire Jeep Wrangler right here. They did it obviously with their school colors. It's got one of those cool, funky horns that they have on there. And then so they'll use this for special events, and kids get selected to ride in the Jeep with the principal. So sometimes they ride it down to the football game on Friday night, or sometimes they ride it in a parade or whatever the case may be, but they have different criteria for the kids to get selected to ride in that vehicle to honor and recognize them. I just love this. It's a really, really cool idea that they do there at North Stafford High School. Another one of my favorite things here, this is at Clever High School in Missouri. I got to visit this school here in August, and so I actually got to put the belt on, take a picture with it. Most schools have a spirit stick for their pep rally or for whatever award type thing they give out. Instead of having a spirit stick, they have a spirit belt. And so whoever wins their pep rally, that class gets the belt. And my first thought was, well, how do they decide which kid's going to get to hold the belt and wear the belt? He's like, the kids are great. One of them gets it, takes their picture, they just pass it around nonstop until the next pep rally. Their local trophy shop made this for him. And he was like less than $500 to do that. I just like, that's just a cool idea, especially if you're like a wrestling and boxing fan like myself. Going back to my buddy Dwayne Patterson at Bixby High School, this is really good for the social emotional aspect of things that we're dealing with right now. So every Wednesday, they would have therapy dogs that would come onto their campus. They would charge $1 for educators and or students to go in and spend time with the therapy dogs. They would raise thousands of dollars every single school year. It all goes back to their Make-A-Wish Foundation projects. So it's a great way to give back as well. You could do this totally for free. You don't have to charge $1 or whatever amount you wanted to do. Something that's totally up to you. Talk with your local animal shelters, rescue organizations, places like that. They will be able to connect you with the possibility of bringing something like this to your campus. But everybody even if you don't love dogs, like puppies, like just to spend 5 minutes with a puppy, if that doesn't bring a smile to your face, then I'm not sure if we can be friends. Okay, like let's just be real, you know. But the therapy dogs, cool idea there. Special parking here for your Renaissance kiddos. And again, every school is unique. And so you could set up Renaissance on your campus any way that you wanted to based on the needs that you have. It might not be academics. It might be more character education. It might be more behavioral type stuff or whatever. But a lot of schools will have a special Renaissance parking lot for those kids that qualify. Again, just another incentive that they can use there on their campus. This is at a school in Missouri, and I can never remember the name of the school, but their kiddos have the opportunity to letter in leadership. I love this concept. As an athlete, I've got my baseball letter jacket, my football letter jacket, like all that good stuff. And that's super cool as well. But again, let's talk about that kid that maybe isn't athletically gifted or athletically talented, but they contribute and they bring a lot to your school. How can we recognize them? And so this is just a cool way to recognize those young men, young women that are in the leadership organizations on your campus. And then this is from one of my friends. Her name is Miss Melton. This is something she does on her first day of school. Every single one of her students gets to decorate a puzzle piece, and then they put it all together. We all fit in here. This is something that you could do with an individual class. You could do it with your entire student body. You could do it with your staff woody. There's a lot of different things that you can do here, just to highlight and recognize that we all contribute, we all bring something to the table to make our school the great place that it is. Now, I'm going to get into, for the last 5-10 minutes here, of things that I'm going to talk about, different resources that are available to you through JostensRenaissance.com. One is called the Idea Exchange. Think of this as a Pinterest for school climate. I just shared with you probably, I don't know, 80 ideas, 90 ideas. That's just the tip of the iceberg. There are a ton of ideas that are located here on the Idea Exchange. Again, you can find this on JostensRenaissance.com. You click on an idea, it gives you a PDF printout of step-by-step instructions for how to implement that idea there on your campus. Great resource for staff recognition ideas, student recognition ideas, commitment to graduate type stuff. There's all kinds of things on there. The Harbor. If you don't take anything else away from today, I hope that you will take this, especially in light of character education and more specifically, the social emotional needs that we have going on right now. The Harbor is a character education video series that's hosted by Mike Smith, who is one of the best youth speakers on the planet. There are 160 episodes that range on a number of different topics, everything from bullying to divorce to substance abuse to leadership. My favorite episode is called Judgment. I've got that here for you to watch. It's a 4-minute video so that you can get an idea of what this is all about. And then I'll give you more ideas just as soon as that is over.
We all know how it feels to be judged, whether it's at school, it's at work, it's at home, because of the clothes that we wear, the sports that we play, the music that we listen to, the things that we like to do, the group of friends that we hang out with. Maybe it's the mistakes that we made. We all know what it feels like to be judged. I get thousands and thousands of emails, messages, comments, posts from students all across the country talking to me about how it feels to be not accepted by one group or not a part of another group, that their school is plagued by cliques and people judging other people. It's like you walk into the lunchroom and you know exactly where you can sit and where you can't sit, and everybody's got their little place. You know what's crazy to me? That over 42% of all students say that they've been bullied online. 3 million students nationally are absent every single month from school because they don't feel safe. Every day in our country, there's an average of over 5,000 students who have attempted suicide, and that's just grades 7 through 12. Where do these numbers stem from? I think it comes from the way that we judge each other. Judgment isn't just a high school problem. The way that we judge each other, it's a society problem. If you don't believe me, just look at social media. Look at the things that people write about each other on Facebook, the comments on Instagram. It's the things that people tweet at celebrities. I mean, have you ever read the comments on a YouTube video? The world, it's more connected than ever. But bullying, cliques, prejudice, those things run rampant in our schools across the country. A lot of the reason judgment exists is because of the differences in how we value each other. You know, we hold someone as more valuable because they play sports or because they get straight A's. Or you judge somebody because of, you know, the neighborhood that they come from or the money that their parents make. Or we judge someone because of the music that they listen to or the color of their skin, their ethnic background, or their sexual preference. And you know the way you kids hate how adults judge you? It's the way that they look at you for being different, for being young, for being unique. It's the same look, it's the same exact thing that you do to each other every single day. If you're the kind of person who judges someone, all it is a pathetic little habit that starts when you're a kid, and by the time you're an adult, you can't change because it's so rooted in who you are. It's like there's this totem pole that we base people on, like there's this top and this middle and this bottom, and we base people based upon our own value system, and wherever you're at on the totem pole, that's how you treat people. I mean, I've been on all sides of it. I remember walking into high school as a new student with purple hair and a Green Day t-shirt on, and then I became a 4-sport varsity athlete, and I thought I was more important than everyone else just because I played sports. I thought judgment would end after high school, but it doesn't. I mean, it continues on into the adult world. There's nothing that cracks me up more than when I walk into a room filled with adults and I watch them judge me for what I look like. I mean, judgment, it's something that you're gonna face for the rest of your life. And you can sit there and pretend it's not you. You can pretend that you haven't been bit by this poison. You can pretend that you don't have this little totem pole for the way that you evaluate people and the way that you judge people. But you have to realize something. All of us, we all have our own prejudices. We all make our own judgments. We have to understand that everyone has value. Everyone matters. I mean, if you're cutting yourself because you don't feel like you belong at school, you do. You matter. If you don't want to show up every morning because you feel like nobody hears you or nobody cares about you, if you're watching this and you feel like a ghost, you have to understand something. Every one of us matters. We all matter. But if each of us can understand that we've all got value, that we all matter, that's when we begin to change the culture of our schools.
And so again, that one's called the Judgment episode. That one is my favorite because I think it's just a grand slam and it says a lot of things that are going on in pretty much every campus all around the globe. Again, there's 160 episodes that are available. Every episode comes with pre-made discussion questions. So it's super easy to roll this out to your entire faculty. Made a tremendous, tremendous impact on my kids on my campus. Now it's geared and designed for high school. The vast majority of it is great for middle school as well. Some of it is good for elementary school. Some of the episodes are a little bit too heavy, my opinion, for elementary school. There's some episodes that I'm not ready for my son to watch those yet. But then there's some great episodes on leadership that he has watched that are great for him to watch. So you want to pick and choose like with that, but you can search by keywords. Like I can't say enough positive things about the Harbor. Next thing I want to talk to you about is our leadership curriculum. So this is brand new. It just came out last summer. There's over 180 seat hours worth of lessons. You can see here there's 9 units on all the different skills that it takes to be a leader. The cool thing about this curriculum is that every single lesson has an action piece. We're not just talking about making an impact on the climate of our school, we are executing on making an impact on the climate of your school. So every single lesson has something that your kiddos are going to do to make a positive impact on your school and or on your community. This is a tremendous, tremendous resource. Again, I can't say enough positive things about this as well. Our school store, if you need different things, excuse me, if you need different things for like little climate boosters, there's posters, there's books, there's coffee mugs, teacher recognition type things. Make sure that you check that out. Again, you can find this on JostensRenaissance.com. All of these things are sold at cost. This is not a profit generator. This is just something that we wanted to do to help to provide tools and resources for schools to make their schools a better place. And so if that's something that you're needing, like little postcards, like there's buttons, like so many different things on there. There's stickers that you can put on your stairwell. Again, you can find that on JostensRenaissance.com. Building community remotely. This is a document that we just created here about a month ago. We dropped it on our social media channels. Again, some of these ideas I've talked about already. Some of them I have not. Again, if you want this document or any of the things that I've shared here today, shoot me an email or a message on social media. I'm more than happy to share all this stuff. You can find this document on JostensRenaissance.com. It's located right there on the homepage. Now, 4 other video series that I want to tell you about that are super, super relevant to what's going on right now, and they're all completely free and available to anyone and everyone. The first one is how to teach remotely. When this thing hit in March, it was like we went home on a Friday, everything was fine, and then by Sunday, school was canceled indefinitely, and oh, by the way, take your class and teach it online, right? And a lot of teachers really, really struggled with that. A lot of teachers are still struggling with that. So there's a video library, again, it's on JostensRenaissance.com on our homepage, that has how to teach math remotely, how to teach science remotely, how to teach yearbook remotely, how to lead remotely. All these things are located right there on JostensRenaissance.com. Another library of videos that's available related to social emotional learning, also on JostensRenaissance.com. I think there's 12 of these videos that are there. Highly recommend you check those out. A third library on staff morale that has 10 to 12 videos as well. And then a fourth one on educational equity. There's some powerful, powerful discussions in this library. And again, that's located on JostensRenaissance.com. Want to make sure that you know about our State of Student Leadership Tour. Connecticut is actually the first state that we're doing this Wednesday on October the 28th. For more information on that, you can visit jostens.com/Renaissance events and or connect with Erica Mativier, who's your Jostens rep, and can get you more information on that. That will be an hour and a half long. It's hosted by myself and will feature Mike Smith and Dr. Tara Campbell. We got 5 different topics that we're talking about that are all relevant to our current school environment. It's great for high school kids. It's great for middle school kids as well. So if that's something that you're interested in, make sure that you look that up. And then the last thing I want to leave you with is this. I grew up and I played sports my entire life, and you get to have experiences and memories and friends that you'll never forget, right? And then having served as a coach and an athletic director, you get to help to create those memories and create those experiences for your kiddos as well. And that's super cool too. But for me, nothing compares, nothing even comes close to being a parent and to getting to watch my son play and compete on the field and on the court. And it's like one of the most exciting things, but it's also like a heart attack every Saturday morning, like ripped my heart out to watch him play. So I got a short video here that I want you to watch. It's literally 20 seconds long. I apologize in advance because it's kind of grainy. My dad filmed it on his Samsung, and I'm like, Dad, can you just get an iPhone already, dude? Come on, man. But you'll get the gist here of what happens.
Come on, third base coach. Come on.
That was the first home run that he ever hit. It was also the only home run that he has hit so far, I hope. And y'all, I missed it. I wasn't there. I was in New York City. Every spring, I always took a group of my high school kiddos on a field trip to give them an opportunity to have an experience that, for all intents and purposes, most of them wouldn't get to have otherwise. And so I was sitting in the left field bleachers in Yankee Stadium watching the Yankees play with my high school kids, and my phone went off. And it was this video, and it was a message from my mom that said, Brooks just hit a home run. And I just started crying right there in Yankee Stadium. And I think that's when it really hit me that leadership is hard, y'all. And that being an educator is hard. And it's harder today to be an educator than it's ever been in the history of ever. And you guys pour so much of who you are and of what you are into your communities and into your schools and into your classrooms and into your kids. And there's so many times when it feels like nobody sees you and nobody hears you and nobody loves you and nobody appreciates you. So I just want to make sure that I take this opportunity, especially in light of our current situation, to say thank you to each and every single one of you that are watching this right now that took the time to be a part of this event. Thank you for what you're doing, because you're making a difference each and every single day. And we all have moments when we question that, right? Again, especially right now where we're banging our head against the wall and we're asking ourselves, does anyone notice? Does anyone care? Does it really even matter? And hear me on this, y'all. The answer every single time is yes, it does. It matters. And it matters more than any other profession on the planet. It matters. I had the opportunity about a year ago to hear one of my good friends, his name's Phil Boyd. He's a phenomenal speaker and an even better person. And he was doing a keynote. We were out in Washington, room full of educators. I was sitting in the back just watching him do his thing. And he says, you know what, guys, we do a great job of loving our kids. We do a great job of loving our colleagues. But wouldn't it be cool if we could love ourselves? And I'm sitting in the back of this room just crying my eyes out because I get it. He was talking to me. I poured every ounce of everything that I had into turning my school around and making it the place that it is. I was giving kids rides to school and from school and to and from sporting events, extracurricular activities, phone calls, text messages, all hours of the day and night. You guys will feel me on this one. I was waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning and at 3 o'clock in the morning because for whatever reason, those are the times when we have those great ideas, right? Of how I could reach this kid or how I could connect with that kid. And I saved a lot of lives and I touched a lot of lives and I know that. But despite that, despite the awards, the accolades, the things that come with that, I almost lost it all. Almost lost my family. Talk a lot about balance, right? And work-life balance. And when I looked at my scale, it was way out of whack because I was so hell-bent on what I was going to do for those kids in that school that I lost sight of the most important things to me, which is my family. And so I plead with all of you in light of what we do as educators, even in normal times, but especially right now with everything that's going on, I plead with every single one of you, make sure every single day when you go home or when you turn that computer off and you're ready to be home with your family, that you take the time to love those people that are important to you. And more important than anything else, make sure that you make the time every single day to love yourself, because we only get one shot at this thing, y'all. And so make sure every single day that you make the time to love yourself. This is my contact information. Feel free, like I said, if you want any of the slides, any of the pictures, any of the ideas, you can shoot me a message on Twitter, on Instagram. My email address, which I should have had on here, but I don't have it on here, is just philip.campbell@jostens.com. So whatever is easiest, most convenient for you. Again, I'm more than happy to share anything and everything that I've got. That's why I'm here. And that's why my team is here, is we want to help put educators in a position to be successful, because the more successful you are, the more likely it is that our kids are going to be successful as well. And at the end of the day, that's why we all got into this thing, right? Is to give those kids a hope of a better tomorrow and to put them in a position to be successful. So I think, Bill, we're going to do questions now. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and go back there and let me know what we can talk about, what we can answer.
Well, thank you, PC. That was just such a tremendous sharing of ideas, and so inspiring to hear from you about the work that you've done and the work that you've seen across this country in terms of what's happening in schools, and being willing to share all those ideas. Just such terrific inspiration, I know, for all of our listeners and for all of us who care about kids and care about education and care about each other in terms of how challenging this time is. So we did have a couple questions came in, and certainly a lot of thank yous and plaudits for what you shared. Someone was asking about how Renaissance aligns with other kinds of social emotional learning programs, or school climate and culture programs. They talked about PBIS, but I'm thinking of Ruler or some of these others that are out there, and how you've seen that alignment and interaction in schools where you've been.
Totally. Yeah, that's a great question. And it's something that we get quite a bit, especially the PBIS angle. And what I always tell people, like, I'm not here to compete with another program or another concept. What we want to do is supplement. So if you're already running PBIS at your school and you're just crushing it, that's awesome. Because again, the most important thing is putting our kids in a position to be successful, right? So what we want to do is be able to provide tools and resources that you can use to supplement. Maybe you have a gap with character, like the Harbor, and you need some character education videos that are more relevant than maybe what you have already right now, to where you can piece things together there. In addition to that, I would say shoot me an email, because Tara, who is also on our team, has a document, some information that she can share with you as well about the correlation between Renaissance and with PBIS. But the biggest thing I want people to take away is they're not like mutually exclusive. It's not like, well, I already do this, and so I can't do that or whatever. It's not because I'm a Renaissance school, I can't be this type of school or whatever. It's not like that at all. Some schools only use the Harbor. Some schools only use the leadership curriculum. Some schools only use, because again, every school is unique based on the needs of their students and of their staff members. So shoot me an email. I'll connect you with Tara. She'll be able to give you a much more detailed answer to that. It's kind of a high level overview. But please, yes, there's a lot of schools that use both and successfully use both on their campus.
That's great. Thank you. Someone asked if you could just say a little bit more about the student leadership tour. They wanted to make sure that they were familiar with that opportunity.
Totally. Yeah. So like I said, we kicked that off this Wednesday. I'm actually in the studio right now. We're getting the set ready and then rehearsing as soon as we get off of here for that. So I'm super excited about that. I'll be the main host of that. Mike Smith will also be a part of that. And then my wife, Tara Campbell, will be a part of it as well. We're covering 5 topics. You're going to put me on the spot here. Mental health, social emotional well-being is the first one. The second one is all about time management. The third topic is on team and trust building. The fourth one is on school spirit. And the fifth one is on inclusion. And so they're all topics that, according to the educators that I talk to, are things that their kids need right now in light of our current school year. All of those, they're going to be broken down into 10-minute segments, 10 to 15-minute segments. At the end of each of those segments, you're going to get a 5-minute just rapid fire idea that supplements that topic that we just talked about that again are relevant to your school this year, regardless of you're in person, if you're virtual, or if you're hybrid. So this is something that's totally brand new content. I know a lot of people from Connecticut have been to some different events and things that I've been at before. This will be completely brand new content. You'll also get an action plan guide, as well as a document at the end of it that lists all the ideas that we're going to share, as well as a number of other ideas too, again, to help boost the climate on your campus in light of our current state. Jostens.com/Renaissance events is where you can find more information and get registered for those events.
That's great. Thank you.
If-
And go ahead.
If the time doesn't work, so we're going on Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock Eastern time. And so let's just say that doesn't fit with your school schedule or whatever the case may be. You'll have access to the video for a week afterwards. So if you needed to watch it on Thursday or on Friday or whatever, we'll be live on Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock. But if that doesn't work on your campus for your schedule, you'll get access to that video for up to a week afterwards.
That's great. And I just want to remind folks that we are recording this and we'll share that recording when it's ready. And PC, if there is anything that you wanted to share when we send out the link to the recording, we can send out those materials as well. So just forward those to me and then we can make sure to make those available. So you're not having to deal with hundreds of individual emails from folks who might have tuned in. We can help you with that. So we don't have any other active questions. I'll give an opportunity if anybody wants to put anything in the Q&A right now. Again, we're getting lots of thank yous and good ideas, and people talking about how they want to implement some of these with their faculty and staff and with their students. And I mean, so many of the things that you talked about are really just what we all need to be doing, especially now. I mean, all the time, but especially now when conditions are really challenging in a lot of different places and are just changing so much. From school to school and from day to day. Let's see, we have something else come in. Someone asked, will the presentation be emailed to all of us? And yes, we will send the link out to everyone who registered, so you can be sure of that. Let me see, what else has come in? I think that's it for the questions. Oh, wait a second, something came in on chat. How would you encourage faculty and staff to get on board with these new ideas in a time when faculty are feeling overloaded?
That's a great question. Probably the $1 million question, because even the rock star educators right now are just down and out, and it just rips my heart out. I think that, I always tell people that the adults are the hardest part. And there's a scene from the movie Gladiator where they tell him, if you win the crowd, you win your freedom. And for us as educators, the kids are our crowd. And if you win the hearts and minds of those kids, it's game over, right? Now, that being said, the adults play a vital role on that as well. And so that's where that relentless passion comes in. I'm going to bring it every single day, regardless of what's going on in the outside world, regardless of, I'm very well aware of the political climate. I'm very well aware of the economic climate, everything that's going on right now. I like to use the phrase, flip the switch. When you step foot on that campus or turn on your Zoom meeting, whatever the case may be, regardless of what's going on in the outside world, you got to flip the switch and you got to bring it if you truly want to be great, right? Because that's what your kids deserve, that's what your colleagues deserve, and at the end of the day, that's what you deserve. And so I think that it's just that mentality, it's that mindset of how can I pour into other people, and I'm going to be relentless about that, whether they like it, whether they don't like it, right? I'm going to love the hell out of them. I love the hell out of my kids. I love the hell out of my colleagues. And are you going to get every single one of them on board? No, you're not. But I'm darn sure going to try, And I think that being said, the most important part of that concept is I got to make sure I'm taking care of myself, because you can't love other people with a broken heart. And so what are you doing to pour into yourself first? And so I always tell teachers, like, every month I have something on my calendar that's just for me. whether I'm going on a trip to Disney World, whether I'm going hiking or kayaking or whatever, a baseball game, whatever it is that you like to do, but at least once a month. And I would probably say, in light of what's going on right now, probably once a week. What's your me time that you can do that's just for you? Because again, if your heart starts running low, I can't pour love into other people as well. So I would definitely start there. You can ask for opinions, ask your colleagues for opinions. Hey, what can we do to, help with staff morale? That gets kind of dicey because then it almost turns into a venting type session, which can go a lot of different directions sometimes, So I would be very careful with the circle of people that you ask. Who are the influencers on your campus? And every campus has 4, 5, 6, 7 adult influencers, right? That you want them to be on your side. And so I would be strategic with that. And just say, hey, like, what could we do? What are some different things that we can do? There's some schools that are doing staff footy game nights. And so on Friday night, they all get together on a Zoom call and they play staff footy bingo, right? Just different ideas like that. Is everybody going to show up? No. But it's the same thing that I tell kids, leadership kids, when they put on events and not as many people show up as what they wanted to, right? Are we going to dwell on the ones that didn't, or are we going to celebrate the kids that did, right? We create opportunities. And really, at the end of the day, that's all that we can do. Whether someone takes advantage of that opportunity or not, that's on them. So I would encourage you to do what are things that you can do to provide those opportunities: a staff game night, a staff happy hour, the musical playlist, the different things that you can do, and let the pieces fall where they may from there. That's the best way I would answer that question.
That's great. That's terrific. Well, PC, I really want to thank you again for inspiring and empowering us today. And I know all the folks on the call or on the meeting just very positive about what they've heard. So can't say enough to thank you for taking the time. I also want to thank again our CAS's corporate partners, IGA and Jostens, for their support. And I want to thank everybody who's still in the audience for attending today. I know this valuable information will be useful to you as you continue to do the most important work of all, which is educating Connecticut school children. As I said, we'll have the recording of today's webinar available in a few days, and you'll receive notification of that when it's ready. I hope you'll attend future CAS webinars. Visit our webpage at CAS-CIAC.org for details on all our events and activities coming up later, actually in November 18th. Personal interest projects for students. We'll have a webinar, and then November 30th on the Look for the Good project. So more information about those coming up on our website and in our weekly news blasts. But on behalf of all of us at CAS, I want to thank again PC. I want to thank Erica Mativier and Jostens Renaissance for the work that you do. I thank my colleagues at CAS for all of their support, and again, thank the audience. So have a great rest of the day, have a great week, and take care. Bye, everybody.